confidence in yourself.
We have never really truly reached our destination. There's always another level to strive for. Your best is yet to come. Success Resources, your learning partners.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Bitcoin Journey to 100,000. Wow, time flies. Today, we are in the month of October. There are many global events that's affecting the world market. Every minute, every second, there's new happening. And, recently we have this Ethereum merge and price did not surge as expected. And in fact, price went down. We are going to discuss a lot of this. So currently, as we are speaking, many events are happening right now that's going to affect the market. And let's discuss. My name is Richard Tan from Success Resources. We are a world leading education provider. This is streamed live on Facebook and YouTube. We will be making videos on the incredible journey of Bitcoin to 100,000. So if this is of interest to you, do remember to join us and also invite your friends to join us right now. So I'm very delighted to bring my friend and also our teachers, Dr. Clemen Chiang, to the program. Now, he's no stranger to many of us. He's an authority in financial investing, very well-known teacher and coach in the art of wealth creation to many thousands and thousands of students all over the world. Welcome, Dr. Clemen.
Wow, Richard, thank you for having me back. It's been quite some time. I was away in Boston and today we are back in action. And, the market has transformed so radically over the past few weeks. And today we really got to dive in deep to unravel what's going on. Yes, Richard, we are ready.
Yeah, so Dr. Clemen, times really flies, right? Last time we were all very affected by COVID. The whole world was affected. COVID bring the world to its knee. Then we have many other crises coming around. So we are very delighted to have you here. So to enlighten us as events unfold and how do we interpret all these things. So Dr. Clemen, I want to start off with a light kind of a news that is the latest in the market a couple of hours ago on Elon Musk, right? I mean, Elon Musk cannot run away from the spotlight of the world because he's the richest man in the world. So every time he make a comment and something happened, right? So this time he make a comment and just strangely, he make this comment, not very much to do with business or technology, but more on politics. And he make a comment on China and Taiwan. In fact, he suggested that Taiwan should follow Hong Kong. And that is very sensitive, right? Hong Kong, in fact, more freer than Hong Kong. So this criticism bring a lot of comment on both sides, both China and Taipei, right? So my question to you, Dr. Clemen, is this. What do you think of this statement that he made, right, just a couple of hours ago that will impact the global market?
Well, that's a great question to start off our discussion for today. And, first off, the latest news that kind of just pop out as we are speaking right now, 6 hours ago. And this, I think, is the framework going through the train of thoughts by Elon Musk, why he said the things that he said. So let's take a look at this article right here. Tesla's China-made sales hit record following Shanghai factory upgrade. This was just published about 6 hours ago, and this is like mind-boggling record sales. No other EV companies in the world could pull off what Tesla is doing right here. And that's because the most profit-driven, the most productive gigafactory in the world today is in Giga Shanghai. So in other words, he's paying not just the tribute to the Chinese, but to the Chinese government for supporting the growth of Giga Shanghai. And that's the reason why if we correlate this mega sales record, and we come back to this point right here, where Elon Musk walks into China and Taiwan tension, we begin to understand, okay, he's paying tribute to his political master, to his to the country that gave him the opportunity. And oftentimes, there's three things I want to have the audience to walk away from, and that is this. Number one, very, 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 very important, and that is this. I believe no one in the United States of America today has the ability to bridge the gap between America and China. As it stands right now, the only person that can do that is none other than Elon Musk. To have authority, to have conversation from both sides, and then to have the respect from the domestic audience from both sides as well. So no other American politician, I mean, we start from the number one guy, President Joe Biden, to the vice president, to the speaker, which is Nancy Pelosi. These three has done nothing but infuriated the Chinese in China. And they are very, very insensitive by paying a visit to Taiwan recently and get kind of a spark the military exercises conducted by China around the Straits of Taiwan. So you have this guy right here, Elon Musk, stepping into the discussion. And he's not just talking about China and Taiwan. He also spoke vigorously about Russia and Ukraine. But I think the takeaway, second point number two, is that he wants peace. If there's no peace and there's war, no amount of business can be done out there. And that's the reason why he suggested that why can't Taiwan look at one part of Taiwan that becomes kind of like Hong Kong and Macau model that's ruled by the Chinese of China. Yet, at the same time, they have their freedom of things that they want to pursue. So he suggested this, and straight off, you know, the response from the Chinese side, they will all hail him as, yes, this is an innovator, a thinker who wants peace between the two countries. But of course, on the other hand, you know, Elon Musk was slammed by the Taiwanese, especially the politicians across the streets. So point number three, which is all important, is that can this man potentially shape and become the kingmaker of US politics? I think this is the one that I want to dive in deeper with all of us here today. And that's with his recent announcement that he will follow through on the acquisition of Twitter. And as we know, Twitter is going to play a very, very, very important role in shaping the upcoming US presidential election in 2024. And I believe Elon Musk is paving the way to support the party that is going to be supportive of Tesla, of SpaceX, of the Boring Company, or all the entities under Elon Musk holdings. This is really going to be pivotal. And again, to sum it all up, he's the only guy that can bring conversation across to China and to speak to the Chinese leaders. Show me another candidate that can do that today, and I show you none. This is the man that I think is really, really far ahead in advance of his thinking. Yes, Richard, that's a great question to start out with.
Hey, Dr. Clemen, I also very interested to know, to kind of have your thought on Elon Musk as a human being, right? So recently I was watching this Netflix on Thai cave rescue of the, I mean, it's an old story. Now, Elon even get into a fight with one of the diver there, you know, and go to a court, etc. So you find that Elon Musk meddle into small things, you know, like the Thai cave rescue. Then he got into big item like going to occupy Mars, right? And sometimes you find that he's on YouTube. He's very humorous, right? He did dancing. Being the richest man in the world, he kind of create some joke on himself, and he handles small things, and then he has the ability to very, very like human, you know. So what do you see? Like my question to you, Dr. Clemen, is your comment on the richest man in the world. I mean, he's not like very serious. He makes fun of himself. He handles small things as well as handle mega thing, and also handled very, very large, like going to the moon. What do you think of a person like him?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, Richard. You know, he was really known as the super multitasker of the world. This is a man that can do multiple things at a single point in time. Get into small fights, get into big fights, get into fights with the government, get into fights with the competitors. I mean, he could do so many things, and I think the record shows itself that he, number one, is the boss of SpaceX. No other company out there can get so much grant and money from NASA other than SpaceX itself. So that speaks for itself. Number two, and then you have Tesla that outwitted all the traditional 100-year-old car manufacturers from Toyota all the way to General Motors to Ford. And he's leading the pack for EV revolution. And then if you think about Starlink transmitting internet via the satellites, this is so advanced that, you know, even the traditional telcos, they are not even thinking about this problem. And then you have the boring company that drill hole through underground to connect cities and create urban transportation. I mean, these are all really great ventures that spun off from Elon Musk driving through it. So the thing is that what my assessments of him, I do not know him personally, but I think he's an extremely, extremely high manipulator of human psychology. Now, I say in a good taste, not in a negative connotation. Manipulator meaning to say that he could swing the mass psychology of people, of humans, with his jokes, with his tweets, with his little comments here and there, and get everybody really entertained. Now, that coupled with the fact that he's the richest man on earth, and everybody just clamoring for whatever he's going to say, that creates a very powerful momentum. And that's the reason why, you know, there was a big debate, would he possibly run for the president of the United States of America? No, that option is out. He has no heritage bloodline. That is completely out. And morning, I was just reading about The Rock, you know, Dane Johnson, telling everybody that he's not going to run for the president of the United States of America. But he can play the role of the kingmaker. I think that's more fascinating. He will probably be able to mobilize a lot of people to support whichever king that he's supporting. So you have a few terminologies: super multitasker, richest man on planet Earth, and most importantly, he's the only one that can bring across conversation from Russia to China to America to global scale that no one else on earth today can do this role. And that's Elon Musk for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Clemen. Now, Dr. Clemen, we have not touched on the Russia-Ukraine war for a while. You know, once the program, a couple of times in our program, we touch on it, but we have not touched it for a long time. Now, yesterday, the Crimea bridge was attacked, right? So my question to you is, what is the significance of this bridge? It kind of linked Crimea to Russia, the only linking of Crimea to Russia when Russia took over Crimea, right? Now, do you see this as an escalation of war? And how does it going to impact the market, or the market really factor in all these things already?
Well, that's a great question. You know, first of all, I want to have a viewer discretion on this very graphic image I'm going to put out. Let's understand by watching the video how the bridge was destroyed, and then we dive into the details of things, all right? So this is about less than 1 minute. Here we go. This is the peaceful site before the bomb goes off, and boom, completely destroyed. And what we understand about this very, very monumental bridge is that it's supposed to be untouchable. And Russians were proclaiming that you can't come near it. But now you see the bridge completely destroyed. And on the other side, the rail transportation has been halted. Right? So let me pause this for a while. This is a big slap on the face. In fact, it was intentional. It was destroyed the day after Putin celebrated his birthday to slap his face after he annexed 4 of the areas within Ukraine. Now, there's more trouble that's going to come because as I'm speaking right now, numerous bombs were dropped right now at Kyiv, the capital city of Ukraine, as a form of retaliation. And he declared that as an act of terrorism. I mean, he can declare whatever he wants to declare, but he's trying to win over the domestic voice that there is a purpose right now for them to attack Ukraine. So there's no good end to this because once the man's ego was dented, he'll go all out and he's going to kill more and more innocent lives. And this is bad, really bad taste. And, you know, when statements like this is being put out as headline, it's a justification of war by Putin and the Russian counterpart. And they can invoke the constitution to start a nuclear war. That was enshrined in the constitution the moment any of the territories that's part of Russia has been attacked, and right now he even put it across as an act of terrorism, then he has the full play of the nuclear arsenal. This is bad news for everybody. That's the reason why President Joe Biden announced that the risk of nuclear Armageddon is higher since the Cuban Missile Crisis. So I was kind of, you know, going through back the history and try to understand, okay, we have a Cuban crisis, and what was it back then? And let's take a look at this map. This is the map of Cuba right here at the red square. And back then, the Soviets placed their missile, their intercontinental ballistic missile, and their medium-range ballistic missiles that has a fly range to drop bombs in Boston, New York, Detroit, Chicago, Denver, Dallas, Atlanta. And the nearest one was actually Miami, right? So you can see this is how it's being played out. And in order to avoid the crisis, the American politicians behind the scenes signed on a secret pact with the Soviets and say, okay, we're going to withdraw our installation at Italy. We are not going to point at Russia, but you must remove all your missiles from Cuba. And that was known as the Cuban crisis. So if you look at the Google Earth right here, you know, Richard, and it's this all started from Cuba right here, that pan across. And it's no different, if you look at the Cuban crisis back then, it is no different from urging Ukraine to step into becoming a member of NATO. So if I kind of put this into place and I search for Ukraine right now, and there you go, you have Ukraine and the border. So this is no different from the current crisis, whereby if Ukraine becomes part of NATO, they could point missiles directed at Moscow. That's the reason why, you know, Russia triggered the war and invaded Ukraine. They got upset that the Americans actually allowed this to happen, to accept Ukraine potentially to become a member of NATO. So, I mean, this is very highly complex politics, and I'm, you know, Richard, at this moment in time, working on 3 crises that want to prepare us for the year-end rally. The first one is the energy crisis. I think there's going to be a big retaliation because the Saudis just cut the output despite the protests from the Americans. I think there'll be some retaliation from the Americans to the Middle Eastern OPEC plus cartel. That's number one. Number two, there'll be upcoming nuclear crisis. As you can see right now, how serious it is that they destroyed the bridge connecting to Crimea and Russia. And Russia is not going to sit back, do nothing. And thereby leading to the Fed crisis, whereby the inflation was badly managed. And we are talking about, you know, interest rate going to hit a 4.5% instead of a terminal rate of 4%. This is all bad news happening at the same time. And that is where the world we are living in today. Back to you, Richard.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Clemen. Now, Dr. Clemen, we have this Armageddon crisis, like you say, we had happened before Cuban during the Cuban crisis. So do we learn anything? And if this is going to happen now, what do we do? I mean, what's your thought of if there's this nuclear crisis happening? So what shall we do?
I think I give it some thought about this issue, and that's the reason why I've been encouraging all my friends. Minimally, all of you out there should have a bank account in Singapore. This is the most neutral country out there. It's small, but it's super safe. For knowledge that, we have one of the highest conscript army in the world, and I'm also liable to protect you in the event of an invasion. I'm still liable. Singapore man, as long as you're not past 50 years old, they can call you back for army. So in terms of military-wise, I think our defense system is very, very strong. But in terms of movement of money, this is the place where you need some stability. Stability to stay away from the conflict in North Korea. North Korea drop bombs to South Korea. South Korea drop bombs back to North Korea. And then while in the middle of it, you have Taiwan and China. Potentially there's a war escalation happening there. And then potentially you have an outbreak of war in Europe from Russia spread across Ukraine to across the entire Europe. There's so many things that's uncertain. And right now, I think there's going to be upcoming Middle East crisis. If OPEC Plus doesn't listen to the instruction of the Americans, there'll be consequences. And they will go and activate the former enemies, Iran, and come into the picture and threaten Middle Eastern peace. And all this is all going on, okay? So while all this is going on, you got to think about a safe haven for your money, safe haven for your children. Can they continue, walk the streets really safe, go to school, great education. I was hosting some of my friends, they every now and then they'll visit Singapore, and I just tell them this, look, take a look. We had the highest turnout of F1 night race in the world that broke all-time record, and we decided to sign a 7-year contract with Formula One. That speaks for itself. We are probably the fastest to recover from COVID-19. The entire nation is kind of vaccinated. We open up the borders. We say, okay, you're on your own right now. If you caught COVID, you got to take care of yourself. Recently, I just caught COVID and I just recovered, and it's like normal, back to life. While many countries are still struggling out there. So 3 things to take away from is this. Go and find a safe haven where you have a very strong political party in charge. And of course, in Singapore, the opposition parties, I just say it really loud, they are clowns. They just make me feel so ashamed when they go to the parliament and make stupid speeches that doesn't make nonsensical sense, right? So we have a strong incumbent political party, strong, stable government. We have a very powerful defense system. And most importantly, we have a very sound monetary policy. I think this is where many of friends overseas, you are looking for this. And I urge you, don't wait until it's too late. Start thinking about, setting up your bank account here. But we have a single passport policy. You cannot have dual citizenship. You have to decide. So many of our foreign friends, they hold PR here in Singapore. They don't convert to become citizens. But many of the rich Chinese, rich Indonesian, they have already converted to hold Singapore citizenship. And that's the kind of stability they are looking for. Yes, Richard.
Thank you, Dr. Clemen. Singapore government are thanking you for the VR that you have done. Okay, so now the world's second largest blockchain successfully transitioned to proof of stake, right? After 8 years of development process. We are talking about Ethereum. But on the next day, investor woke up that Ethereum price is the lowest since July. So now, while Ethereum now even climbed back to 1,007 in September, but right now it's 1,003, right? There's a 20% drop. So my question to you is, with movement from Ethereum movement from proof of work to proof of stake, why Ethereum price is dropping after the merge?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we're going to study this chart together. This is an Ethereum chart. And on the crosshair right there, that's the day of the candle, 15 September, where the merge was completed. Now, what does that mean? We have migrated from proof of works to proof of stake. Proof of stakes in the world of Ethereum means that you stake 32 Ethers and you can start collecting interest, all right? Well, this is the really, really bad news for Ethereum. And let me explain to you all the logic behind this bad news, all right? So we're going to reference this article, why Ethereum is dropping after the merge. And as we go down, the paragraph that, I spend the most time thinking about is right up here. Holy moly. This is the one that I spend the most time thinking about. And that is, what is Gary Gensler thinking about Bitcoin and all other coins on earth, all right? So let me read out to you. Last Thursday, SEC Chair Gary Gensler said that a token using proof of stake might contribute toward it passing the Howey test. From the coin's perspective, there is another indicia that under the Howey test, the investing public is anticipating profits based on the efforts of others. He told reporters after a congressional hearing, according to Wall Street Journal, right after the merge. That's how sick this guy is. He was waiting for the merge to take place. And given that Ethereum just switched to proof of stake, many investors on social media expressed concern that Ethereum might be Gary Gensler's next target. This is the pain. The regulators refuse to give clarity. They add more and more uncertainty. And they're trying to ring fence, don't know whoever they're trying to ring fence. And the moment Gary Gensler said a statement like this, the price of Ethereum cannot move already. Because no matter what you move, he's going to come after you. So this is the problem right now. You have a SEC chair fighting for power with the CFTC, Commission of the Federal Trade Commission. And this is really bad. Now, Bitcoin kind of have a getaway cut because of the Bitcoin futures ETF that was already listed and publicly traded. So he can't touch it anymore. It's proven. You can't backtrack the regulation. People already put money into the futures ETF. The problem is Ethereum and all other coins. This is the real pain right now. So my prediction for this chairman is we need a change of president. Change of president, then we have a change of commissioner, a much more friendly commissioner, then we can have a light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, back to you, Richard.
Thank you, Dr. Clemen. Now, Dr. Clemen, there's a tweet on Friday, Robert Kiyosaki tweet on Friday that we all know that Robert Kiyosaki is a straight talker, right? So he urged investors to go for Bitcoin and precious metal. So my question to you is can you help us explain or help us to assist us to explain the logic behind Robert Kiyosaki making a statement like that we all should go for Bitcoin?
Yeah. So, Richard, the thing about me and Robert Kiyosaki is that I have high respect for him. He was an influencer of our time because of the classic book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. All respects due to him. My only problem with Robert Kiyosaki is that I cannot find any open blockchain that detailed his Bitcoin holding, whether it's buying, selling, or holding. There's no evidence of his Bitcoin holding. That's something I'm not very comfortable with because I couldn't cross-verify. So let's take a look at this article. Now, he is on a mission to trash the US government. I want to bring you all to the most important headlines. It's about this trashing of, why buy gold, silver, Bitcoin. Bank of England pivot means buy more GSBC. There's gold, silver, Bitcoin, and yeah. When pensions nearly collapse, it exposed central banks cannot fix it. Inflation, pensions have always invested in gold and silver. Pension funds now investing in Bitcoin. They know fake dollar, stocks and bonds are toast. Right? So you come out a general remark like this, and then you can go on down. I mean, he's such an influencer, 1.2 million followers. And of course, he said that why I buy Bitcoin, pension funds are the biggest investment businesses in the world. Now, again, it's not like all the big funds have already allocated to Bitcoin. No, the doors are not open yet because of regulatory uncertainty. Everybody waiting for the opinion by Securities Exchange Commission. So I think Robert is ahead of the time by proclaiming that the gates have been opened. I don't think so. So, you know, all that we can really right now navigate is the 20,000 holding power of Bitcoin. This is where it is. It's going to stay that way until the next Bitcoin halving event that's scheduled on 2024. And that's the magical part about 2024. It's the same year as the US presidential election. And you know, everyone is just waiting for that day. There's so many things that's going to happen. I think Twitter will be going all out to rally for the new president under Elon Musk's new ownership. They'll be so nervous about the upcoming 16th of October, 6 days from now, the crowning of the China emperor. That's Xi Jinping. And while this is happening today, there's an outbreak of COVID in Shanghai, and there'll be further lockdowns. And there's this uncertainty in Russia, Ukraine, more bombs going to be dropped off. And then North Korea, out of nowhere, want to grab everybody's attention, fire an intercontinental ballistic missile across Japan. All this is happening. This is crazy period of our generation. And, you know, I say with certain conviction, I think in my generation, we're going to witness a real World War III scale of kind of a war, whether it's a commercial big war, which is already started with US-China's trade war, or else it'll be a nuclear war. And that's where it is, just from a simple question on Ethereum merge. And from there, we draw in the different parties, the different actors, and kind of trying to extrapolate the core issue. Yes, back to you, Richard.
Thank you, Dr. Clemen. Well, Dr. Clemen, this program Bitcoin Journey to 100,000, you know, or conceptualized, because we believe that Bitcoin is going to go to 100,000. But through all these events that's happening around the world, we don't see Bitcoin going to 100,000 in the next 1 month, 2 months. You know, it may go, but it will take a little bit of time for the market to adjust. So we just want to make an announcement that we are going to change the format of our Bitcoin journey to 100,000. So instead of doing it like in the past, we're doing on a weekly basis, because we were so excited that Bitcoin is going to go to 100,000 in a week or 2 or a month. But then we are going to change it to a quarterly reporting, right? Like the public company, they are doing quarterly reporting. So it will not be on a weekly basis, but or monthly basis, but on a quarterly basis. Yeah. So Dr. Clemen and myself, we have carved out this date. The next Bitcoin journey to 100,000 will be in January, and then April, July, October, unless something very significant change in the market. Otherwise, we'll follow this schedule, right, for the Bitcoin journey to 100,000. Now, Dr. Clemen, last question for you is a very significant question. The progress to Bitcoin halving is already 60% complete. And since the creation of Bitcoin halving is a very significant event that changes the price, etc., on the global landscape, right? So please give us some historical milestone on why every one of us should look out for this event, and what preparation is there for us to do. What's your advice on the preparation for us for this Bitcoin halving?
Yes, great question, Richard. And three things to take away for a very big event like the Bitcoin halving event is number one, all price increase of Bitcoin is always counted from day one of the halving event. So we've gone through the first halving, second halving, third halving. Third halving was 2020. And then from that day onwards, the price will just shoot up. Now, why is that so? It's a phenomenon, it's a culture. And the second thing about Bitcoin halving event is that the rewards to the miners reduced by half. So it literally wiped out all the small players involved in Bitcoin mining, left only the real big, strong guys standing with power generators and all that, continue to provide a hash rate. So that's the reason why this is very, very significant in terms of the date, which leads me to point 3. Every 4 years, it started, if you backtrack, 2020 minus 4, 2016, 2016 minus 4, 2012, 2012 minus 4, 2008, at the birth of the financial crisis in 2008. So if you think about it this way, which also kind of coincide with the presidential election November every 4 years. That'll be 5th November 2024. So this is the window that kind of, after playing so many years of Bitcoin, I kind of trying to understand Satoshi Nakamoto, what he's thinking when he published the white paper, that this is the instrument that can influence politics. This is the instrument that can change the wealth of ordinary men. And this is the instrument that no one, government, countries, policy, absolutely no one can control Bitcoin. And that's the beauty of decentralization. No other coins out there can boast about this single core feature of Bitcoin. And that's why it is representing freedom. So if you think about Bitcoin, Bitcoin represents freedom. And if you think about all the way to 100,000, the thesis remains the same. We believe by 2032, Bitcoin will be worth $1 million per coin. Yes, Richard, back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Clemen. Well, so remember, our next Bitcoin journey will be in January. Now, we do our best to research facts and data from the market and present to you. With the facts and data, you can make informed decisions for your financial future. We remain bullish on Bitcoin, despite all that's happening in the world. Secret to success, you wake up early, work hard, and own Bitcoin. I wish all of you a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week ahead. Thank you very much.
We believe that investing in our education
has the highest leverage and is the greatest equalizer.
We believe that time spent among trees is never wasted.
He who plants trees loves others beside himself.
We believe that a small group of committed citizens
Can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has.
Regardless of background, everyone can have the same opportunities with education.
We believe that together, everyone achieves more.
We believe that real leaders don't